All right.
Hey, Tommy.
Another day in beautiful river.
Hey, listen. So, believe it or not, this channel of ours, Tom and Wayne Straight from the Hip, we get analytics. Ready? Analytics. That show we're losing you guys around the 10-minute mark of our about 20-minute show. So, first of all, shame on you. You're missing some good
And
material.
secondly, without full frontal nudity, what more can we do?
And we know we
probably lose them in 6 minutes.
No, we probably get some chicks. But anyway, Tom, what we decided, Tom and I, to do is we're going to keep these a little bit shorter, maybe about 13 to 15 minutes. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to try to stay on topic. Now, last week we talked a little bit about the Bills and everything, but to be honest, there's not much going on with the Bills.
Right.
You can't really go out and see camp. Sabres are in dormancy, so we decided today we're going to talk a little bit about current affairs, and I think going forward we would like to do that so that we kind of keep it crisp. Obviously, the day after the Bills opener, we'll be talking Bills all day.
Right.
Maybe we'll have 2 shows. But anyway.
Unless, of course, they lose.
Yeah, and then we'll have no shows. But anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Tom, you want to kick us off on a couple things?
Well, a couple of things. Obviously, we had another tragedy in Kenosha,
Beirut,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Again, a man was shot, and 7 times. It's ridiculous. But again, the rioting starts and the burning of businesses. Now 3 more were shot last night by some type of vigilantes or something. Well, people aren't going to take their stuff being wrecked because of this stuff.
Right.
The family of the young man asked for peace, but that's not good enough. And when they talk about change, Doc Rivers was out today saying that they're shooting us and they're killing us. So, well, hold on, Doc. All right? Could we try one of their own sayings, please? Could we try hands up, don't shoot? When the police ask you to just
do anything.
Ed Oliver was driving, I guess a little unorthodox or whatever with his van or his trailer. They pulled him over. He tried to explain he was fine, blah, blah, blah. They arrested him. He did a breathalyzer. He did everything the officer said. He had to go to the station, put on the orange grub with the holes in it and all this shit. But he was released when the blood work came back, and he's vindicated. And that officer now has to explain, what were you doing?
Yeah.
But the man humbled himself and did it. I, as a kid, was stopped by detectives. They threw me on the hood of the car. I was jogging. And
wait a minute. Now, was that because of the horrific high school picture?
No, this was after that,
Okay.
when I actually decided to start doing something. And something had happened in the neighborhood by a white man, a kid, and he was running. I was running. They stopped me. They were kind of nasty, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I did what they told me to do.
Right.
I was also pulled over another time, and the guy was kind of nasty. I've also had some meetings with police officers that went smooth. I know a lot of the guys. I played racquetball and stuff with them. But when they're doing their job, adhere to what they say. And this guy should not be shot 7 times. No, and you can look back and say what happened. Obviously, there's fear there. The officers were in fear. And why shouldn't they be in fear when more police officers have been killed in August of this year than all of last year?
Yeah.
And they're in fear. And why is it that these black men are scaring people? Can we look into this? If you really want to change this, I think the NBA and the NFL and these NHL and these baseball players that don't even know why they're kneeling, why don't you get into the community in your free time and get together with the police and get to know each other, play basketball or have a picnic or something, and work on the respect issue.
And the communities, bring the communities in.
Yeah, are there some
There's a lot
cops?
of stories like that have happened.
I ran into dick
more
cops, yes, and I've also know some wonderful guys. Their parents, I've had neighbors here. They're just dads. They're fans. They're whatever.
Right.
And but when they're doing their job, just adhere to what they say, and then let the chips fall where they may.
That's right.
But now there's a car dealership in Kenosha Park that's no longer.
It's gone. And
what did he have to do with that?
The answer will be that he's got insurance. Well, that's a lot of cars that went up.
And there's people out of work and stuff. And I know a lot of people. There's this abroad in New York City talking about the fun of the police and more social workers. Look, are we the day of please? Please stop. Please go. Please stay home. Please don't do it. I mean, are we back to the day of the Anglican Church envoy?
We know what happened there.
He those Iranian students, and he would walk amongst them, And he walked amongst them one time and never came back from them.
Yep.
All they found were his water walkers and his robe, and of course blood in the back of the robe. But
Sorry.
come on, envoys! Come on, guys! What person's going to want to be a social worker to show up to a domestic?
Yeah, that's
the man
insane.
had a warrant for his arrest, and I don't know what for. But a neighbor called. He had taken her keys and wasn't giving them back, and then he just completely refused what the officers were doing. How much more training do you need? I mean, do we need tranquilizer darts? But something could go wrong with that. I just don't.
Now again, I do want to intervene here a little bit because, or interject, because shooting a man 7 times in the back
It's
is
uncalled for.
absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
There's
They're
no
scared to death. They're undertrained, and they know they're gonna. They basically are on a powder keg, and that powder keg went off, and now we got another city in this country
And
that's
again-
going right. It's going crazy.
And again, I say this again: the black community has to take some responsibility in this.
The responsibility is when a police officer tells you to stop or do something, you do it. Now, I have a couple examples. Tom, you talked a couple of years. I personally think that jogging one, there was an issue there from you, but we won't get into that.
I had no idea she was. Never mind.
Anyway, so I went to Geneseo, and my buddy's mom died, and I went to a wake, and my wife and I were leaving. We had no alcohol. We drove down this little town. I approached a blinking yellow light. I really didn't know how to get out of Geneseo to go back home. And I slowed down near the blinking yellow light, and ultimately I saw a sign that said 20A was to go left. I turned left, and woo, pulled me over, and I asked the officer what I did. He said, well, you failed to put your blinker on. And I said, sir, I'm not from here. No idea where I am. I didn't see the sign until it was, well, you got to have 100 feet before you got to put your blinker on. I said, well, sir, that seems kind of silly. So, long story short, I was very upset with him, but I listened to him, did everything he said. I went to court. Turns out the judge laughed at him. In front of him in the court, he asked him, why did you do this? And he said, Officer so-and-so, you thought Mr. Morlock was drunk, didn't you? He goes, yes, sir. He goes, well, when you found out he wasn't and he was coming for a wake, why in God's name did you give him a ticket?
And the answer is you did what they told you to do.
That's right.
And now he had to answer to
Yes,
it.
he did. Yes, he did. I'll tell you another one. My brother, God bless him, he's a disabled vet from Vietnam, and he had a stroke, and he was driving down the road where he's living, and the phone rang, and his car's a little older, so it doesn't have Bluetooth, so he didn't want a ticket. He pulled over, talked to the person that called him, and all of a sudden he's got cars all over him, guns drawn, everything. Get out of the car. Turned on where he pulled over to talk to his friend Paul was a crack house. So they figured he was there to buy stuff. Okay. Well, the moral of the story here is my brother for an hour watched as these police officers took his wallet, threw everything out of it, took his prescription. He's got a thing he carries his medication with. Threw that all over the floor of the car. Told him where are the scripts for this, and he said, well, I don't carry them with me, but he said you can call X and X pharmacy and they'll tell you. And then one time he said, look, I just had a stroke. I can't stand all this time. Can I please lean against the car or sit down? And they screamed at him, absolutely not, shut up. Okay. My brother let it just go and did what he had to do. Well, they were so mad they didn't find out that he was a crackhead that he pulled away, stopped at a stop sign, made a left. They pulled him over again and said, you roll through the stop sign, which of course he did not. Long story short, a VA attorney helped my brother, spoke to the DA up there, and the guy was livid with the police officers. And he got it all thrown out, and those police have to answer for what they did to my brother as an American vet. So what we're trying to get to here is this doesn't just happen to black people. People get pulled over all the time, maybe for suspicion or something that didn't. And long story short, what did we do? You comply.
Get here and
I'm
respect.
not. If in Geneseo I start reaching behind my seat, I don't know. Maybe I'm shot dead. Okay. You just have to comply, and then go as we like to hear from the Obamas. Oh yeah, right. The high road. Let it all take place. They have the authority.
Right.
You have to respect the authority, whether you respect them as people or not. You have to respect the authority, and then you take it to the next step because you got screwed.
And respect. Bring back respect. These guys have a tough job. We don't want lawlessness.
It's a brutal
That's not
job.
what this country was built on. It's built on laws and protect, and all everybody just wants to do is live in peace. We all cringed when we saw that. Was Sunday when it happened?
Yeah.
Oh my God! But it's someone has to take responsibility for that side too. It can't be just no bail, no bond, no enforcement,
No
no
anything.
police. We can't have that.
Can't have it.
Defunding the police, they're going wild, and nothing said about these cities. Even Buffalo, the shootings are up in downtown
Every
Buffalo.
night, another 3.
You want to go down to Canal Side? I'm afraid I'm going to get caught with a stray bullet. Where's the answers for that?
Yeah.
And you don't think a police officer is going to be afraid? And I think a lot of you young people out there, if any of you are still listening to us, I've seen the evil. I worked up at the medical center for many years, and there's evil out there, and real lunatics. Not just some guy that'll drink 6 goldfish in 5 minutes or have 18 hot dogs with super hot sauce on it. I'm talking about the look where you look at them and, whoa, that ain't right.
Right.
And they come in, and it's tough to subdue them without someone getting hurt. And
That's a very good point. You've mentioned before to me that you guys had to subdue a guy that was brought into the medical center who was a criminal.
Yep.
And you subdued him, and didn't like a
The nurse
nearby
said,
nurse said,
all you guys had to be that hard on him. Well, we're all trying to get this done without anybody getting hurt
including us, who would have nothing to do with this.
and get pissed on or bitten. And
By the way, bitten in the age of AIDS.
well, that's what it was.
Yeah, you're in serious trouble, man.
And we're all trying to go home. We all want to just go home, and I had many instances like that. But our kids, fortunately, didn't have to grow up in that. I mean, they saw a couple of beatings here, but when the Bills lost, that's a whole different story.
I tried to chop down a tree with a 2x4, but that's violence.
You know, but our kids didn't see it, and a lot of you young people, it's kind of like COVID. A lot of people think, well, I don't know anybody that's had it. We know a lot of people. It's hit our family, our group, hard. So it's
personal families.
this violence
Immediate
and stuff is out there, everybody, and those cops have a tough job. Are they perfect? No. But
and these guys will pay for that. You can't shoot a man in the back
No.
7 times.
No.
And because he should have, with a warrant out for his arrest, that man should never have been walking to the side of the car and reaching under seats or whatever he was
Right,
doing.
and he
And
blatantly-
he should have been in handcuffs behind his back. Number one. Number two, he had his children back there, 3, 5,
Right.
and 8.
Yep.
Those kids, that 8-year-old especially, he probably knows enough at 8 years old. That kid is going to be traumatized for the rest of his life.
he could have been shot too.
Could have been
and
shot too. It's
nobody
terrible.
wants that, and we don't.
And I'm hearing he's paralyzed, this guy, so far from the waist down. And
Well,
that's-
let's hope. God hope that
Hope it's
is
fixed.
temporary or whatever, and let's hope. But
He's got to pay for his sins, but he doesn't have to pay by dying.
No.
But you do have to listen to the police. End of story.
And listen to what we're saying too. All lives matter. I'm not. I got blown up on my Facebook for saying Black Lives Matter. That organization sucks. All right. They're getting funded by some major companies in this country. Find out who they are and don't support them. But they're going in restaurants with bullhorns and screaming at people. Why? What gives you the right to do that? And I'll say it again. What gives our elected officials the right to say back off?
Stand
and
down.
Now this Mayor Brown Urkel, they got these dirt bikes and
I love
mini
Urkel.
bikes running all over harassing people.
They got
right?
that guy last night by the guy that on the 4x4, the 4-wheeler, that shot at a police officer and took off. They found him.
Yeah, he shot at
He
the
shot,
police. Shot
like
at the police.
a deadly force, a bullet at a police officer.
You don't think those guys at Kenosha Park saw that on the ticker tape? So come on, show some respect. And people look at that and think there's nothing wrong. Well, they're going down the streets in Buffalo on sidewalks.
Yeah.
What if one of them dirt bikes breaks my leg? Who's paying for that? So I'm sorry.
Not only that, why do you deserve to have a broken leg? Why does anybody peacefully sitting around, and I don't care if it's on Grape Street, Cherry Street, or wherever it is, the east side, they don't deserve to be sitting on their porches, especially the older people there, and they fear that a stray bullet's going to kill them, their grandchild, somebody.
And black or white, all of us good, honest people think the same way. Listen to what we're saying.
Yeah.
You know, you want to call me a racist, then call me it. I don't care. I'm no more a racist than Barack Obama or anybody else. Everybody's probably going to tend to stick toward their side, but I don't like seeing a man shot 7 times at all. I don't like a man knelt on his back, but I want full disclosure. It can't just be one way. This has got to be a 2-way street. It can't just be one way, you know?
Well, there's one thing I want to be one way.
Well, I'm talking in this situation,
Okay.
not, that way.
That's definitely a one-way street.
Just
so,
remember this, too.
yeah.
I think it was Jethro Tull that said, in and around the lake, mountains come out of the sky.
And they stand there. And that was
Think about that.
That was yes, but I'm not really sure what is that.
Just think about that for a second.
Is that relevant here? Or?
I think in a way it is.
Okay. I do have something. Now, somebody had asked me earlier today if any of my ancestors owned slaves, and I did the ancestor DNA, and I did find that my great-great-great-grandpappy, Helmut von Morlock, owned several slaves. I'm just, I feel bad for it.
But they're Irish, though, weren't they?
They were German. The slaves were definitely Irish.
Yeah, they were Irish.
Yeah, they were potato farmers, and he made them tend the farms. And actually, to be honest, most of them were women. Is what I'm finding out. I think he was a filthy slob, Helmut. But
now I will say this too. One quick
I'm
question.
kidding, by
out
the
there.
way. I don't have anybody own slaves.
A couple quick questions. One, if anybody knows, where in the hell is all the Lysol? And two, we just got this pup, new addition to the show, but he digs holes. And where does the dirt go?
I think he's eating it.
You would think the dirt would be next to the hole. You could push it, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And he's got some holes that are pretty down far.
You could put bodies in them.
I'm starting to worry about like those one-steppers, those little snakes.
Yeah.
I'm looking for them because
You know what you did? I know what you did. You got this rescue dog from the great state of Louisiana, the one that's built underwater. Anyway, you got this dog. I see he's building holes the size of what you could put a human body in. I think that there's a ploy here. You're looking to kill some BLM guy, and you're gonna bury him.
Well, I don't know that, but I know he got so deep the one time that I found a Phnom Penh newspaper. I mean,
hey, listen, we got to wrap it up. Listen,
love everybody.
Love you. Keep it in your nicks, unless you can get it out of your nicks, and that's good.
Hey, life's hard when you go by the yard, but if you go by the inch, life's a cinch.
Wow.
I think Billy Joel sang that in one of his songs.
Really?
I don't know.
You're making this shit up like crazy.
It rhymed though.
In and around the lake.
Jethro Tull, look it up.
Yeah, it's not Jethro Tull. All right, see you guys.
See you soon.